Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. I'm going to give up another update today, and I think it's going to be a good one. I had a nice report out that I did last night and put it in our Patreon and Discord community. It just was one of those things where it just got a little bit late and we just couldn't get it done. But here again, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of some of the stuff that we talked about. Look, anybody that's not thinking that this is ever going to happen, it is absolutely been in track. And ultimately, the UN is basically having what they call some data that's out. It's called the fast track. And what I think is the electronic systems have been in place. At the most recent has been for up to 2021. But ultimately, if we want to go back and look and see some of these things that we got to talk about is the ICE cutter system. We're talking about the Riyada Bank or program with Iraq. And it's really actually kind of a big deal because it's talked about from many people, many sources. I think we have al-Sudani talking about the Riyada program. We have al-Alaq has talked about it. Taif Sami's talked about it. Al-Nasuri's talked about it. And why would they be talking about the same topic over the last year and a half and then upwards with the SCUDA system since 2021 and long before that? But a lot of this stuff is really important because as early as, let's see, I believe it goes on to say that if we go back to June 18th, 2023, the governor of the central bank, Mohsen al-Alaq, in his periodic meeting of government with the private banks, they said that they have a project to establish the Riyada Bank, a project to establish a loan guarantee company. So that's back in June 2018. You have another one as far back as or coming forward through July 4th. It says here that al-Nasuri referred to the new transitional phase of the banking sector in accordance with the government's approach, in particular paragraph 7, article 12, which emphasized the empowerment and development and reform of banks in order to contribute to investment and development in accordance with the plans and adoptions of the central bank. So al-Nasuri is basically telling you, what are they doing? They're going to establish what? A Riyada Bank for social development, support for young entrepreneurs and low income segments, the establishment of financial and business centers, establishment of loan guarantee company, control of the safety of foreign trade, access to foreign transfers in currency to the real beneficiary, not just some fake unknown person. That's why they've been using the platforms and the KYC, know your customer. And basically they're going to be doing it, and they say here that in compliance with standards of global financial systems. Look, nobody's going to take the Iraqi dinar seriously at 1,310. For Pete's sake, the bottom line is back in the UN Assembly with al-Sudani and the Globe, they talked about al-Sudani and the Iraqi country going to be a savior effectively for the global financial system. Well, if they were going to be such a savior of the global financial system, how is it that 1310 hasn't worked so far? So really, man, step back and think about it. The next thing here, it says, same day, His Excellency, the Governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Mohsen al-Alaq, received today, this Sunday, the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, the Regional Director for the Arab Countries for the United Nations Development Program, Mr. Abdullah al-Dardari, and his accompanying delegations. Look, these two sides did a whole bunch of things. They're getting together to develop and implement these processes that they're talking about. They're basically suggesting that they're looking to stimulate the economy, adopt initiatives to support small, medium, and large projects, as well as renewable energy initiatives. So you've all seen all this since July. It's pushing January 2024 right now. So basically what I'm getting at is that this is a process that they've been going through, but this Riyada process is, the Riyada process basically, you guys, is, it even goes back to the World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is big on helping people, helping countries, lower development countries. Basically says here, al-Nusri basically is talking about that time of, what is it, still in July, prior to July 14th, or just on July 14th, as this progression goes. Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization contributes to the development of the financial and banking system. That data is all part of this whole thing. Comes back to that loan guarantee program. They back it up back and forth. The next one is that al-Sudani receives the regional director of the International Financial Corporation, IFC, okay, and emphasizes the cooperation to support youth and renewable energy projects. So again, they're all talking about the same circumstance. Here again on July 14th, Governor of the Central Bank talking about International Financial Corporation of the World Bank Group. And what are they talking about? They're talking about sustainable financial projects, sustainable development, all of the elements of environment, society, and governance, financing, lending, investment activities to achieve standards benefit to all concerned parties. So here, the governor of the central bank receives a delegation from the International Finance Corporation, which is the IFC, and the World Bank Group. All right, so that's now we're still moving forward. I think the next time frame you're going to see is well, look at this. Delete the Zeros project still exists. Al-Alaq. It says the rise in exchange rate, quote, my time, end quote, and the project to delete the Zeros still exists. So this is in July of 2026, July 26th of 2023, forgive me. One of the major comments was these operations are subject to local international controls and standards, international controls and standards, which leads to an effective implementation, as a key word. We've been talking about that, right? Implementation is a big deal, right? Of anti-money laundering and terrorism financing law, and that law was number 39 of 2015. So they're here back in July, they're talking about all this stuff. It says a new system in reorganizing the movement of trade and funds requires the cooperation of multiple parties. So we have a new system, don't we? One of the newer systems that they talk about later here this year, coming up to where I'm going to get to, is the IMF's meetings in November. We'll get to that in a little while. It says the central bank, in achieving the goal of this system, is to make the movement of funds to proceed in legal context and correct standards to avoid any internal or external risks. Well, the globe doesn't want financial risks, and Iraq is supposed to be one of those countries that's going to be circumventing all the risks. So if you can see where I'm heading with this, it's fascinating, okay? It says the international financial system is integrated, coherent, and interdependent, in which some influence others. Well, of course they do. Iraq's going to be influencing a lot of others. All financial institutions in the world deal with the movement of funds with caution, with an accurate assessment of risks and verification of the sources of funds and their beneficiaries. Iraq is part of this system, right? And we must achieve a high degree of compliance with these standards. The international financial system to ensure integrity of our financial system, and this, as we indicated, requires great support from the central bank and for each party to take its role. And the governor of the central bank stated his words, okay, regulating foreign trade falls outside the control of the central bank and requires the cooperation of multiple parties concerned with this file, such as the Ministry of Commerce, the Border Crossings Authority, the Customs Authority, the Security Services, and other parties. And what we do serve all parties, the country's economy and its general situation, and therefore there must be solidarity. So a collaboration and interdependence between everyone with the central bank to achieve this goal of the system is and was in the forefront. It says regarding the Riyada initiative, Al-Alaq says that the Prime Minister launched a Riyada initiative to qualify people and enter them into small projects and to embrace their capabilities and innovations. They point out that the central bank entered a financing party by launching a project to establish a Riyada bank in order to absorb and finance these capabilities. The central bank is in the process of establishing the bank, and there is great interest from us and private banks. The bank has various initiatives, including financing and small, medium projects, and going on to lending for housing, real estate, and etc. And there was a quote the same day by the Ministry of Finance, I think it's Taif Sami, also has been activating bilateral agreements between Iraq and various international financial institutions that support the establishment of a balanced and sustainable financial and economic system, since Iraq possesses the requirements of a strong economy. There you go. That's all the way back up to, let's see here. That was through July 26th. We have here, I'll just a couple more. Al-Alaq is discussing with the delegation from, again, who? The World Bank and the Organization of Consolidation of the External Transfers. It says here on August 24th, Governor of the Central Bank, Al-Alaq, discussed with the delegation from the World Bank, the central bank's effort to organize and consolidate external transfers. What? Moving money across borders internationally. It says the meeting discussed the efforts of the Central Bank of Iraq to organize and consolidate external transfers in accordance with the compliance requirements and international standards, and to encourage merchants to enter the electronic platform, which they're using today, to buy dollars by providing facilities and simplifying tax and customs procedures that the government is making anticipated amendments to. So we all know that ICE Kata system is in the forefront. Okay, we all know it. The new name for the ICE Kata system is the ICE Kata World, and it's advanced. It's even more progress, and part of this report has been about is somewhat similar to that, because when I get to the bottom line is there is more on the ICE Kata system and the people that were involved in that. But before I get to that, I want to narrow it down, as because the August 24th was a big day. We got through that. Al-Nusri, November 27th, we're fast forwarding, says the government and the central bank have yielded results in the financial and banking reform in 2023. Moving forward to December 16th, establishing Riyada Bank in line with the Prime Minister's initiative and redirecting work on initiatives to finance small and medium enterprises in accordance with specific standards. So that's right up our alley. This is just a few days ago. The Association of Banks. The battle with the dollar speculators has reached its final round. What is that talking about? Riyada, that whole program and the bank. It says now at 3-4 days ago, it says the government and the central bank win the battle for financial and banking reform in 2023. Riyada, that's what it is about. So when they say we win the battle, sounds like they've completed something, right? So as we go forward, look, there was a gentleman by the name of Mubaba Ferry, and he worked in the customs realm, right? He's an expert for 11 years. He has experience with the Iskata system in Baghdad. He's a representative and works for and has been involved in this since, I believe, about the last 11 years, right? The UN, as of November 6, 2023, says they're fast-tracking the implementation of e-trade readiness. Yeah, that it includes about 25 different countries. And the countries include from, out of Africa, you have Benin, Burkina Faso, all these different countries, Kenya. But when it gets right back down to it, from the Middle East, who's involved? Iraq is involved, okay? And he goes on to say that there's an example that the Riyada program in Iraq aims to provide the necessary skills and training to better equip marginalized and disadvantaged populations with digital tools and skills. So he's aware of this. This came out in December of 2023. It says these countries have prepared national e-commerce assessments using UNCTAD's ET-Ready methodology. So those 25 countries, it's not just Iraq, they all are in part of a program that is going to be part of the new future, and it's fascinating. So then there was a gentleman that we've been following. His name is Tarwat, Akram Salman. He's a director of the WTO Accessions Division, which is part of the Ministry of Trade in the Republic of Iraq. Okay, they go on to tell you about his circumstances. It says that the E-Trade Readiness Assessment in the gateways towards promoting and digitalizing its economy in the right manner, putting it on the right track towards adopting functional development strategies that strengthens the private-public dialogues among e-commerce players. So they're talking about the Republic of Iraq here, okay? And this is in December 2023. The need right now is to focus on capacity building that will kickstart transformative action that can achieve tangible results on the medium and long run for developing countries and combine efforts and expertise for the services and welfare of our people through building up sustainable development, upgrading our e-commerce systems and strategies, and promoting the sharing global trade. It's time for action. This is someone from Iraq talking about who's working directly with the Ministry of Trade and who is the director of the WTO World Trade Organization's Accessions Division. This is fresh, people. This is right up our alley. It says in what this report is. Now, listen, some of these reports I gathered this information for. One is 20 pages, one's 99 pages long. Okay? There is massive amount of data, and it's all cumulative. And if you haven't read the 20-page report, the 99-page report, or any of the reports that I provide, then obviously there's room for growth. So I would suggest people take an interest in their own investment and do so. And here it says Table 1, the national e-commerce policies and strategies, action plans that followed the ET Ready for 17, basically says that Table 1 shows that Iraq is a part of this whole group, and I think this man is pretty happy about it. It says in Figure 6 of this particular report, the UNCTAD supported business facilitation reforms in what countries? Benin, Bhutan, and Iraq, and that's for the region of Iraq. So anyway, this report is about, what I've done here is about 6 or 7 pages long, and it gives us all a brief synopsis that is basically supporting all of the data that we've been bringing in for months. I went back 6 months, and I have to say that ultimately we know that Taif Sami, al-Sudani, al-Alaq, the trade minister, the planning ministry, the labor minister, all of those people are in the Ministerial Council of Economics, and they all work with those people that I just mentioned. So all of this is coming together. So there's no reason for any pessimism or snide remarks for anybody around in Dinar land, because to be fair, these are the things that you should know. You should have this at your fingertips. There shouldn't be any doubt anymore that this is a real process and it's underway. So I'll move on from that, but here there's an article that basically says the finance ministry directs its employees to work on Friday and Saturday. This come out today. It says Finance Minister Taif Sami directed the employees' working hours continue next Friday and Saturday. It goes on to say that the Minister of Finance directed the continuation of the working hours of employees of the accounting and budget departments, the Central Bank of Iraq, the Information and Computer Technology Department, and the branches of the Rafidain and Rashid banks on the coming Friday and Saturday. It goes to say that the directive came to complete the transfer procedure for investment projects, and including salary differences and associated transfers on current expenses, in addition to completing and releasing financing by the accounting department and depositing it into the accounts of the spending units of ministries, governorates, and entities not affiliated with the ministry and the branches of the relevant banks, including the central bank. So that's a lot of words in 2 paragraphs, but the fact remains is Taif Sami still working weekends. She has come out months ago and said that they were going to work Fridays and Saturdays until they accomplish this. Now in Iraq, they say next. When they say next, that means the following. When they say the coming, I'm not 100% sure about this, but the bottom line is when they say next Friday and Saturday, what I think that in this particular case that the finance ministry is talking about, they're going to be working tomorrow and Saturday, and then subsequently the coming weekend, Friday and Saturday. And there's thinking of that there's a reason for that. We know that the 23, 20, 24, 25 budget is a tripartite budget, and that 23 budget has not had any spending for projects that is a retroactive back to the first of this last year. So we're watching to see closely, it's a nail biter to be fair, this weekend into Sunday to see how they roll and see what they say they do. Now remember, they said that they were doing some auctions that they were finishing, but we are seeing auctions. That's a whole different ball game. But the bottom line is that the old auctions had graft coming out of those auctions. In other words, they weren't being honest and up to date. But I think in the last 6 months, since June, since that's how far back I went, I have a pretty good idea that this new electronic platform is facilitating real trade in real numbers, and that those real numbers happen to be with dollars and for legitimate purposes and for legitimate trade, because they do know who the beneficiaries are. And that's what some of the stuff we talked about. Those are words that you've heard already, okay? Ultimately, the next thing is that the dollar exchange rate will stabilize with the broader launch of the budget. Parliamentary Finance Committee explains today that they basically didn't allocate monies to the 23, 24, 25 budget for spending, and I'll focus in on 23, is because of the elections that they just had. They didn't want to create an environment that could have manipulated those elections. But here it says the dollar exchange rates against the Iraqi dinar to the citizens' fear of the fluctuation occurring, which is related to the budget and the government spending of it after it stopped it before the local elections, while it considered the government shift towards electronic dealing at the beginning of next year would be a positive thing. So Jamal Cougar is the gentleman that's talking about this in this interview. It says a witness to a further decline when it is exchanged against the Iraqi dinar, especially with the start of greater budget disbursement. So we're talking about disbursement. Taif Sami is talking about the disbursement for spending. So in addition to government's announcement of the direct implementation of the electronic system with the start of the new year, which will limit financial dealings in dollars. We all know that the commercial side of things, Iraq is going to do commercial trading in dinar, and the taxation of the borders, etc., electronically, IS-Qada system, all that stuff is supposed to be on the 1st as well. So we have to deal with that. What are they talking about? Well, that's going to be applied to imports and exports. The next thing would be is that the government did not spend from the budget so that it would not be exploited in the local elections. So they're giving you for the first time an excuse of why they haven't spent the money since January, or let alone since June. It's a retroactive. So remember, Al-Sudani stated in his circumstances that he was going to, he's telling his people that the dinar is stronger than the dollar. And we haven't seen that yet. We had some experts come out and challenge him on that. Al-Sudani said that. Al-Alaq, as I pointed out and proved, that he said we're going to do the deletion of the Zeros project. Well, it still exists, and on his time. He said my time. So these things are for real. I pointed out that Taif Sami talked about this Riyada bank, and she's talking about working overtime. For what? For the 2023 tripartite budget. And what? For why? For spending. So they're getting ready for something. They're obviously telling us a story. It says the Iraqi government Al-Sudani says the Iraqi government is continuing to end the presence of international coalition. Well, why would they be doing that at this stage of the game? There's this thing called the strategic framework. We all know the strategic framework has been in place for a long period of time, and it entails a lot of different entities. It's not just the United States. But what are they saying? They're saying that they'd like to see the coalition forces to basically leave. Okay, that's not just the United States. There's some people out there basically on internet or on X, or used to be Twitter, suggesting Iraq kicks out the U.S. military. Well, is that the truth? We're going to find out. But also it goes here to say that Al-Sudani goes on to say, on the other hand, we stress the importance of adhering to the legal mandate. The legal mandate is probably because of that strategic framework. I mean, we did see some people coming at us, throwing some bombs at some bases in Al-Assad, and then we saw a circumstance where when we did something that the United States effectively, I guess, got reprimanded for retaliating effectively in that respect. But then the next thing was another circumstance happened with the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, and then also the Iraqi National Bank, and things changed real quickly, real fast. And Al-Sudani had something to say to the people about that, because what do they have? They have a legal mandate that's granted by previous Iraqi governments for the United States presence or the coalition for its presence, if that's where we want to go with this. So that's what they're talking about, even with the Spanish delegation that's in town, and not to exceed the point of carrying out military actions since they represent a violation of Iraqi sovereignty. This is unacceptable. Well, of course it is, but what happens, what your mission is when military bases that are there for legal purposes, mandated with a strategic framework, get missiles launched at them, that goes on you, Iraq, Al-Sudani. So I'm not really sure why this timing of them posting this data is, but we all know that there's somewhat of a brinkmanship and tit for tat. But it says the Iraqi government is aware, committed, and capable of carrying out its duties to preserve the security of diplomatic missions and the locations of security advisors. I find it really very interesting that they talk about that, because one of the locations was where the security advisors were. They were in the embassy, and they were also in that Iraqi National Bank. So when people come out on X and start talking stuff and throwing out propaganda, even some of these articles, I'm wondering if Al-Sudani is going to come out and have a little chat about this and maybe change the story. I'm not sure. But that's just where my view is. And once again, Taif Sami, she's going to work overtime. And Al-Alaq has stated that it's my time. Al-Sudani has stated that the Iraqi dinar is stronger than the US dollar. And the IMF worked for 11 days to teach people about the customs laws. And all the reports show that the ICE-CUTA system is a global system. It's interconnected with many alphabet soup letters and agencies around the world. And who is one of those? Is the WTO. So all of these things that we've been talking about points to that Iraq is going international, and they are going to be a showcase. If they're going to save the international or the global financial system, the likes of JP Morgan, Citibank, Citigroup, whatever they want to call them, obviously at 1310 isn't going to work with an exchange rate. If that was going to be the case, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I mean, why wouldn't they have done it already? So anyway, thank you guys for being with me tonight. The nice part about this whole thing is it's going into a holiday weekend, and there's some really positive things happening. We like the fact that Taif Sami, the finance ministry, is working overtime. The labor department's working overtime. Al-Sudani's hitting the streets. He's still working overtime. You got countries coming in all over the world. The finance ministries are busy working, ready to allocate, distribute, and spend money out of the 2023 budget. So listen, thank you very much. And if you like my channel, please, all you new folks, just hit that like button. If you want to subscribe, I would appreciate it. And if you care to help keep this content rolling while we go through this process, there's going to be more to come. We have Venmo, we have Zelle, and we have PayPal. So I thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. A lot of work goes into this. And a shout out to the crew, Samson, Petra, Pompey Peter, Gigi, Sunkist, and all the crew members. MMOL, thank you very much for your support, bud. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.